On October 4th, 1990, the widely popular Beverly Hills 90210 made its primetime debut on network TV. Almost 2 years later, on July 8th, 1992, a new show and spin-off from 90210 would also make its debut in primetime. The name of the show? Melrose Place. Just like Beverly Hills 90210, Melrose Place was created by Darren Star with Aaron Spelling as executive producer once again. The show centered around 8 20-something-year-old adults living in a courtyard-type apartment complex, with each character on the show intertwined into various storylines. When the pilot episode debuted on July 8, 1992, viewers were set to meet the new Melrose characters. However, fans of Beverly Hills 90210 would also be surprised to see some familiar faces from the zip code crossing over, just as Kelly Taylor had done with one future Melrose character in the final episodes of 90210's Season 2. With Beverly Hills 90210 now a primetime success, Melrose Place would also start to gain its own popularity as the series moved forward. Just like Beverly Hills 90210 made its way into pop culture, Melrose Place would soon follow suit, and one of the more memorable ways it did so was when it was mentioned in other shows on TV. Sitcoms such as Seinfeld and countless others would either mention or make reference to Melrose Place scenarios. However, before that could happen, Melrose would have to prove itself with its cast of characters, storylines, and network ratings. In this program, we'll explore the pilot episode of Melrose Place as we take an in-depth look at its very beginnings 30 years ago. We'll revisit the apartment complex where we first met the original 8 characters within its famous courtyard pool setting, then go behind the scenes to the sets and sound stages where it all began, with some of the original cast members showing us around. Get ready to celebrate as Melrose Place turns 30. It's all here on this episode of Bri Adventures, Melrose Place, looking back 30 years, the pilot episode. I'm Brian Armand, and like you, I enjoy a good adventure. Fun, fantastic, and magical journeys await. So sit back as I take a new excursion forward on this episode of Bri Adventures. Melrose Place had its debut television premiere on July 8, 1992, with about 16 million viewers tuning in. The show would continue on for 7 seasons until it was canceled on May 24, 1999. Prior to its cancellation, the show would receive a lot of success as well as a lot of cast turnovers throughout its 7-year run. Along with the eventual cast changeout over the years came more complex storylines which put both writers and cast members to the test. With that said, Melrose Place in its 7th and final season looked quite different from its humble beginnings within its first season. Even the pilot episode seemed like a walk in the park compared to later episodes within that very same first season. With its first season consisting of 32 episodes, Melrose Place had quite a bit of time to elaborate and build up its storylines, as well as continue character development. Back then, having that many episodes per season was a fairly standard practice within network TV shows.
32 episodes a year, and in real time, that would take a full year, and we need a break in between for the writers to write and for us to sleep for 2 months straight. So we double up for some, we shoot 2 at once so that we can get 6 done, and then the normal time it would take to do 3.
With Starr and Spelling once again at the helm, curious viewers would start to watch, and many were excited to see how or where the crossover from Beverly Hills 90210 to Melrose would unwind. And there was a great strategy too. To start, Melrose Place would air directly after 90210 on Wednesday nights in the 9 p.m. TV slot. Since Melrose was 90210's spin-off companion, this arrangement worked very well. Having said that, Melrose Place eventually moved to their own night at the beginning of Season 3 on September 12, 1994. At that point, it would continue to air on Monday nights at 8 p.m.
For Mondays now. It used to be Wednesdays, now it's like for Monday.
So what did this spin-off consist of? How was it going to play out? And what about the initial big question of a potential ongoing relationship with 2 cast members, one from the 90210 world and the other from the new Melrose Place show? Before going further into those questions, we'll first backtrack to Beverly Hills 90210 and focus a bit on the last couple of episodes of Season 2. Prior to even a single episode of Melrose Place airing, fans of the widely popular Beverly Hills 90210 would get a small glimpse into one of the characters who would eventually bring together the worlds of both TV shows. The character's name? Jake Hansen, played by actor Grant Show. Bringing the character Jake onto Beverly Hills 90210 would be the start and setup of the Melrose spin-off. Whether fans of the zip code were aware or not, that was Jake's purpose on 90210. Viewers of 90210 would first see Jake running into Dylan McKay and Brenda Walsh on the beach. Jake turns out to be an old friend of Dylan who apparently taught Dylan how to surf. Jake eventually is enlisted to do some construction work for the wedding of Kelly Taylor's mom, Jackie, who's getting married to Mel, David Silver's father. While spending time at the Taylor household working, Kelly and Jake begin to talk and eventually begin a relationship. Sort of. With this premise now set up, the end of 90210's Season 2 wraps on May 7th, 1992, and it would not be until 2 months later, on July 8th, 1992, that viewers would see the airing of Melrose Place's debut episode. During that 2-month time frame, a lot went into marketing Melrose Place.
Growing up, everybody has a dream. Then you finish school, move away from home, and suddenly...
Let's give it a shot.
It's time to put that dream to the test.
I wonder how long it'll be before they admit we're adults.
For 8 young people, that time has come.
That feels great. Let's do it in about an hour, okay?
Share their dreams. Share their place. Melrose Place. Coming Wednesday, July 8th. No parents.
I wonder how long it'll be before they admit we're adults.
No rules.
Yeah, hi, I'm here about the apartment.
No limits.
What are you even seeing me?
A lot, I guess.
You just picked yourself a real challenge.
Live life on your own terms.
Always leave the toilet seat down.
Melrose Place. From the creators of 90210, series premiere Wednesday. Beginning this summer, spend Wednesday nights with Allison Parker and friends at Melrose Place, coming July 8th to Fox. Beginning this summer, spend Wednesday nights with Jane and Michael Mancini and friends at Melrose Place, coming July 8th to Fox.
There is a place where the most important thing in life is living it on your own terms. Different people, different paths, different dreams, but they all lead to the same place. Melrose Place, from the creators of 90210, coming Wednesdays in July to Fox.
different paths, different dreams, but they all lead to the same place. Melrose Place. From the people who brought you 90210. Coming soon to Channel 10.
When July 8, 1992 came around, Melrose Place would start off the show utilizing the crossover storyline seen 2 months prior on 90210 of both Jake and Kelly's relationship. That storyline would eventually bring viewers further into the world of Melrose, and as time went on, it would also help introduce viewers to some of the other characters that would be appearing on the show. Before getting into the Jake and Kelly storyline, we first need to understand a little bit more about Melrose Place itself. What was Melrose Place, and where was it located? 4616 Melrose Place was the fictional address of the apartment complex which the show's name refers to. It was located in West Hollywood, California. The apartment complex had a pool housed within its courtyard, with most of the apartments facing it. Here is some quick behind-the-scenes information regarding the apartment complex and its surroundings. And a little bit later on, we'll take you on set with some more behind-the-scenes segments. The apartment complex courtyard, as well as the apartment interiors themselves, were all filmed in Santa Clarita, California at Santa Clarita Studios, just about 30 miles outside of Los Angeles. Only a couple of actual apartment interiors were built on set, which were then used and dressed for the various characters' apartments when needed. Melrose Place does exist, however, it's the name of a small street located just off of Melrose Avenue, in West Hollywood, California. And as for the apartment complex building, aside from the courtyard, pool, and apartment interiors, the front of the Melrose Place apartment complex was actually not a facade on a soundstage and was the front of a small apartment building not located on the Melrose Place street just mentioned, but at 4616 Greenwood Place in Los Feliz. The producers retained the actual street's address numbers for the show. As for on-location filming, especially within the first several seasons, the characters are shown various times out on Melrose Avenue, talking with each other and walking about. And speaking of Melrose Avenue, the show's original Season 1 opening credits features brief glimpses of the cast inside the first, original Johnny Rockets, which opened on Melrose Avenue 6 years earlier on June 6, 1986. The pilot episode opening credits are slightly different, and the Johnny Rockets exterior is shown from the outside for about 1 second. Another famous location from back then featured in the pilot's opening credits was the restaurant The Burger That Ate LA, which opened in 1989. That location will play a part within the pilot episode, to which we'll cover a little later on. Other locations, such as Shooter's Bar, had its interiors filmed on the sound stages up in Santa Clarita, while the outside of the building that viewers would see within the episodes was a real restaurant by the name of Fellini's, and was only dressed up as Shooters for filming episodes. Like many shows do, a lot of exteriors are shot in an abundance prior to the show's debut, and are used throughout the course of the show's various seasons in order to not have to go back out on location to dress the sets each time, which would further disrupt the business. Early on, viewers do get a glimpse of both Jake and Kelly outside the actual location of Melrose Avenue, dressed up as Shooters. Another very notable location was the iconic D&D advertising firm where characters Allison, Billy, and eventually Amanda Woodward worked. D&D advertising interiors, just like most interiors on the show, were filmed on the Santa Clarita sound stages, while the building's exterior was actually the front of Aaron Spelling's television production offices. It was in this very building that the writers of Aaron's shows penned these most memorable episodes. Throughout the show's seasons, there were also many interiors filmed on location, outside of the sound stages, both on Melrose Avenue and other locations in and around LA. As for writing the show, it was originally going to have storylines which would conclude at the end of each episode, much like many sitcoms do. However, the storylines became much more than that, and as it turns out, Melrose storylines would be in continuation from one another. That is, any plot lines that were introduced at the beginning of any given episode would not necessarily conclude at the end of said episodes, and instead continue going into the next episode, with many storylines having ongoing twists and turns over several seasons. Back to the show's premise. The Melrose Place apartment complex had various 20-something-year-old adults living their lives, some moving into the complex from time to time, while others had perhaps lived there for a while. As the show unfolds, we are introduced to all of them. The opening credits start off, And aside from the Melrose cast credits, viewers may have been surprised to see some of their favorite 90210 characters' names within the opening credits as well. Jenny Garth, Tori Spelling, Brian Austin Green, and Ian Ziering were all amongst the 90210 characters who would be appearing in the pilot episode. Apart from their appearance on the pilot, they would only appear in a couple more episodes of Season 1, until the Jake and Kelly crossover storyline was buttoned up. As the credits roll, it appears from the night shot of the apartment complex, someone is leaving in a taxi. The next morning arrives, and viewers are first introduced to the character Allison, played by actress Courtney Thorne-Smith. Courtney's character Allison is a receptionist at the Los Angeles area D&D advertising firm. As she wakes up, she calls out to what appears to be her roommate, Natalie. It's then revealed that Natalie's room is vacant, and viewers can perhaps assume that's who may have been leaving in the middle of the night. However, the writers and producers do a pretty clever thing to both confirm that's the case and further introduce the viewers to more of the characters. And what better way than to have the character Allison knock on some of her neighbors' doors to find out if anyone else knows anything about Natalie's disappearance. We're introduced to Matt Fielding, who is a social worker at the local hospital, played by actor Doug Savant. It doesn't seem Matt knows anything about Natalie's whereabouts. Allison quickly moves along to the next apartment and knocks on the door of Jake Hansen, played by actor Grant Show. Jake is a handyman dipping in and out of jobs who loves working on bikes and eventually goes on to own his own bike shop for a bit. He's also considered the apartment's tough guy. However, he's also very caring and protective of his friends within the complex. He too has no information on Natalie when asked by Allison. Allison once again moves along to the next apartment, which is the residence of both Jane and Michael Mancini, played by actors Josie Bissett and Thomas Calabro respectively. Michael is the building's manager and a doctor at Wilshire Memorial. Jane is an up-and-coming fashion designer who eventually opens Jane Mancini Designs, her own fashion and design studio. Both Michael and Jane are perplexed that Natalie's missing. As the conversation continues at the doorstep of Michael and Jane, viewers learn Michael's role as apartment manager. Allison begins to plead with Michael for more time to come up with the rent, which she apparently doesn't have on such short notice, seeing her roommate left suddenly, leaving Allison to come up with the full rent or find a new roommate. Later in the day, Allison is met by another character on the show, her friend Rhonda Blair, an aerobics instructor played by actress Vanessa Williams. Rhonda tells Allison that she saw Natalie walk out in the middle of the night, but didn't want to say anything, wanting to mind her own business. Rhonda is also very good friends with Matt, and the two spend a good amount of time together. At this point, Allison decides to look for a new roommate. One night, as she's outside of the apartment complex by her car, a man who Allison doesn't know walks up to her. His name, as viewers learn, is Billy Campbell, played by Andrew Shue. Billy is an aspiring writer who also teaches dance. The conversation starts with Billy mentioning that he's interested in the apartment. He tells Allison that he learned from Natalie at a local nearby bar about the possibility of a new roommate. However, after Billy's in-depth explanation, Allison doesn't take too kindly to his proposition, turns down his roommate offer, and at the same time feels neglect from Natalie, not letting her know she was moving out. After countless potential roommates answer the ad Allison posts, and not finding anyone to her liking, combined with an eviction notice that Michael hands her from the building's owner, Allison decides to reconsider Billy's offer by trying to find him at the bar he had previously mentioned he met Natalie at. And that bar was Shooter's. While at the bar, Allison confronts Sandy and inquires about Billy. The two look towards the pool tables only to see Billy playing pool. With Billy still interested, he moves in the very next day as Allison presents Michael with the rent money. Right away, the two talk about boundaries and go about setting up rules for a platonic relationship, for now at least. Allison and Billy's storylines play a predominant role. As the show progresses, the once platonic relationship both Allison and Billy share is now replaced with a more serious relationship. Allison's problems will continue to intensify, and further on within Season 1, she meets a guy by the name of Keith Gray, played by actor William R. Moses. A fun fact, the actor who plays Keith on Melrose also starred in the movie Mystic Pizza. In that film, he played the character Tim, who was an architect and love interest of Kat, a waitress at the pizza restaurant. Another fun fact comes about with the character Billy Campbell. Andrew Shue was not originally cast as Billy. Another actor was playing the part until a little ways into filming the pilot, the producers felt the need to recast the part, and in a quick move by the end of filming on Friday, the producers would need to find a new Billy so that they could resume filming a couple days later on Monday. A casting call was held over that weekend, auditioning a couple dozen hopefuls, and by the end of it, Andrew Shue won the part, and the rest is history. As the pilot episode progresses, viewers wondering about the Jake and Kelly storyline would now start to see it play out. Kelly, Donna, and David pull up to a restaurant, apparently located just down the street from the Melrose Place apartments, to which Jenny is going to visit Jake. But first she drops off David and Donna at the restaurant. This is what plays out within the episode's storyline. However, in real life, Jenny, Tori, and Brian are actually in front of a fairly new restaurant at the time, which opened up in 1989. The name of it? The Burger That Ate LA. And it was an iconic location on Melrose Avenue with its burger-shaped facade. A fun fact about this restaurant, even though it was a visual landmark to both locals and celebrities at the time, the restaurant closed down only a couple of years after Melrose Place filmed these most notable scenes, and by the time the mid-90s came around, the building was now home to a Starbucks, which retained some, but not all, of the previous building's iconic features. As Kelly finally arrives at Jake's apartment, viewers are introduced to the character Sandy Harling, played by actress Amy Locane. Sandy is also Rhonda's roommate. Originally from the South, Sandy moves to LA in hopes of living out her dreams as a film actress, while waitressing at night at the bar Shooters. It's here at the pool by Jake's apartment where Sandy grills Kelly about how she knows Jake, and by all accounts, this scene tells a lot about Sandy's affection for Jake without coming right out and mentioning it. That in itself is reinforced several scenes later as viewers see Sandy waitressing at Shooters, having a conversation with Jake about Kelly, amongst other things. Sandy and Jake had a past together, yet it's Jake that wants to move forward despite Sandy's flirtatious ways. Soon after, Kelly's seen visiting Jake at his apartment, and they have a conversation. Kelly asks Jake if he received her messages, to which Jake replies he has, however, he's been busy working. Kelly feels as if he's blowing her off and confronts him. To say the least, the conversation gets heated, and Kelly feels a bit of neglect from Jake. And as she leaves, it's clear Jake has found himself in a position he's uncomfortable with. However, he agrees to have a casual, friendly dinner with her the following night. Kelly and Donna have a conversation over lunch about Jake. Donna doesn't think Jake is right for Kelly. However, Kelly feels differently and tells Donna she likes him. Jake keeps his word to Kelly about having dinner with her, and he and Kelly are seen getting off his motorcycle and walking into Shooters. Sandy waits on them, and Jake's past with Sandy is felt through Sandy's remarks towards Kelly. It's at this point Donna, David, and Steve walk in and sit across the way from Jake and Kelly. Kelly is surprised to see them because she told Donna about her date with Jake only so she could cover for her. Sandy waits on both Steve and David as Kelly takes Donna aside to have a talk. Donna brings up the fact that Jake is too old for her. In Kelly's mind, she already felt Jake perhaps felt this way in an earlier conversation with him. As Kelly and Donna talk away from the table, David and Steve approach Jake at his table. They talk for a bit as Sandy comes by and makes a comment to Jake about how she can date high school boys if Jake's willing to date high school girls. Sandy immediately starts flirting with Steve, and just as Jake explains to Steve that she's an actress, Steve mentions about his mom being Samantha Sanders from the show Hartley House. Sandy is now genuinely interested in meeting his mom, most likely for the industry connections, as Jake takes Kelly and decides to leave Shooters. Jake and Kelly talk, and he brings up the age difference, a common denominator in why the relationship has so many mixed emotions. Kelly storms off back into Shooters while Jake rides off on his bike. Kelly visits Jake again back at his apartment, where he tries to stand firm about his life issues, to which Kelly understands, to which Jake asks what she sees in him. The episode concludes with everyone enjoying a get-together by the pool. The camera pans back, then fades out to the end credits. And with that, it's a wrap on the pilot episode. But what happens to Kelly and Jake? The pilot episode doesn't button up their storyline, and it would take 2 more episodes, Friends and Lovers, and Lost and Found to see Kelly off. Jake has been nothing but an emotional roller coaster for Kelly, and although Kelly endures a lot of hardships over on 90210, her crossover storyline with Jake is definitely some great work by actress Jenny Garth. She plays the part very well. Jake finally sends Kelly off by setting up a fake date with an old friend in the third episode, Lost and Found. Jake does this as he feels carrying on the relationship further would just hurt Kelly in the long run. Throughout the crossover storyline, viewers can clearly see Jake put himself in a situation he didn't feel comfortable in, and although he has an attraction towards Kelly, the life circumstances of both he and she would never allow the relationship to work or flourish in his mind. Kelly, on the other hand, would have done whatever it took to make it work, and one of her last things she says to Jake before leaving his apartment is that she loved him. Melrose Place was just getting started, and for those who watched the pilot episode on its debut back on July 8, 1992, they would have no idea for what would be in store for the show going forward. As ratings began to take off, the writers would take note on what was working and what wasn't. Bigger plot twists and the tense situations were on the horizon. New storylines were born, new characters were eventually added, while others were written out. Amy Locane, who played Sandy, left the show after episode 13. Her character auditioned and won the role on a soap, to which she moved to New York for. Vanessa Williams, who played Rhonda, finished out season 1, and her character did not return for the following seasons. Most of the original cast left in later seasons, with Thomas Calabro the only remaining original cast member to be featured in all seasons of Melrose Place. As cast members left the show, new cast members would take their place, and Melrose enlisted a lot of new, familiar actors and actresses that would start to shape this new era of the show. The remainder of season 1 introduced several characters who stayed around through various seasons. Episode 11, titled A Promise Broken, sees actress Marcia Cross joining the show as character Kimberly Shaw. Kimberly stole the show with her very intense storylines, and did we mention intense? Any fan of Melrose Place will never forget Kimberly's character and how she quickly transformed from a colleague of Michael to not just his, but everyone's nightmare. Episode 19, titled Single White Sister, is where viewers would meet Sydney Andrews, played by actress Laura Layton. Sydney was Jane Mancini's sister, and her time on the show along with her storylines had people talking. And a fun fact, she married fellow actor Doug Savant back in 1998. Heather Locklear would join the show on episode 21. The episode was titled Picture Imperfect. Heather was no stranger to Aaron Spelling, and in fact, worked on several of his shows in the early to mid-1980s. Bringing Heather in to stir things up a bit was just what the show needed to start moving away from the more subtle approach Melrose had with storylines featured within the pilot. Heather played the most memorable Amanda Woodward, an executive at D&D Advertising who eventually would go on to become Allison's boss. Her presence on the show took things up to another level with her storylines. Heather's ability as an actress to take the character of Amanda to the level she did says a lot about Heather's skills as an actress to lift off the pages what the writers gave her character. We would like to take you behind the scenes with some of the characters from the show, as they take you on a tour of the sets and talk a bit about what it's like to be on the show.
And action!
You know, you go into makeup and hair, and it takes about a half an hour, and then go in and rehearse the first scene, and usually, if you have a full day, usually doing about 4 or 5 scenes a day. Mark?
I think Darren can go as far in this industry as he wants to go. He deserves his last name, which happens to be Star.
We have 8 characters, and we got to keep them all in play. And when we're sitting around, we sort of start plying ourselves with caffeine and chocolate and all that good stuff, and we just try to start to get on a roll. It's wonderful that the public likes the show. That's what we get off on, the fact that people watch the show every week.
I wish I could take credit for Darren Star. He had never done television in his life, and he created 90210. Then he created Melrose, that spun off on 90210.
Lucky to work out here, and it's beautiful out here in the mountains, and get a nice drive every morning to think about life. The Melrose set here in beautiful Santa Clarita, and these are our lovely trailers. See, I live here. Courtney Thorne-Smith lives right next door. Thomas Calabro, he plays the devious Dr. Mancini. Next to him we have Grant Show, handyman Jake Hansen, you know, the tough guy on the show pretty much, although he's getting a little more sensitive as he gets older. Heather Locklear, the vixen. We have Josie Bissett, who plays the lovely Jane Mancini. Well, she's looking for a man. I don't know, I might have to make a change here soon. What do we got over there? It's Doug Savant and Daphne Zuniga. That's Matt Fielding and Joe Reynolds. Basically, I was a history major at Dartmouth, so I like to keep a lot of things in my trailer, from the past. So basically, I have a reason for not cleaning up. But let's see here. Here's my my humble abode. You see, this is still my Christmas present. We're now into March, and I still haven't opened it yet. And these are some old cookies. I got these, I think, in Thanksgiving, but they're still good actually. They're wrapped, so you could use them anytime. And let's see here. Here's a script from February 3rd. It's a little old.
I call him Mr. Spelling because I have grown up with his shows, and I've been such a spelling fanatic for my entire life that he will always be Mr. Spelling to me. I don't care. He can say, call me Aaron 100 times. I never will. Will always be Mr. Spelling.
He runs his business really like a family. Once you're in part of the family, it's he really treats you like that, and he expects the same kind of action in return.
Where's makeup? Where's makeup? Where's makeup? Hi, I'm coming in with my entourage. She waited on hand and foot. The first day of the show, we had a scene where I was just waking up, and we did bare minimum, and we got a lot of calls from the top saying, oh, no. Oh, no.
They said glamorize.
Glamorize.
Spelling eye.
Yeah. Spelling eye is my morning routine. So we just basically do more natural lipstick. Is basically our getting up in the morning.
It's wake-up time. Electromagnetic therapy. Keeps you more docile. It's an Aaron Spelling thing. Oh, those girls, they sit in that chair for a while. Ooh, long time. This is Kimberly. Jane wouldn't even know Michael the ads. Snow. Show Michael the ads. He is, after all, a 50-50 portrait of Mancini Designs. Which means D&D doesn't move forward until I sign off.
I know. What do I do?
Michael, I'm aware.
Michael, I'm aware of the terms of the contract, in case you've forgotten. I'm the one who negotiated the deal for you.
Forget I'm forever in your debt, Amanda.
Good. Then D&D has your approval?
Very good. I have a couple of changes to request. What about you, hun? Well, I think we have to kick it around a bit and get back to you.
I know what I'd like to kick around.
We'll be in touch. Good work, Amanda.
Can I play with your stethoscope?
I mean, you play with my stethoscope again.
Hey, Sydney, what are you doing here?
I'll be doing a scene all of a sudden, and I'll realize, why am I here? I don't have to have the script supervisor come and walk me through it, because they get jumbled. Am I married yet? Am I engaged yet? Is he mean to me? Do I like him? Am I in love? No. Who's she? Because at Melrose Place, somebody steals your boyfriend, and you're mad at them, but then the next episode you like them. And when you're doing 4 at once, it gets so jumbled. It's Mary Donner, our script supervisor, and
good. They're very good actors. I'm really pleased with them. There's not a bad actor in the bunch. They're all...
You can't get away with anything.
It's really warm, but something eerie about swimming inside.
On the background, let's start there. Just bear with us here, folks.
Now I'm actually going to work, and this is the way I walk. Now, in case you don't get this, it's left, right, left, right. Oh, I did right, left that time. This is my friend, Elena. Well, I don't want to tell him that part. Now, wouldn't you rather have her on film than me?
This works fine, okay? Here we go, continuing, and action.
Dr. Levin, would you like to make the introductions, or shall I? Allow me. This is my friend Ingrid. This is Dr. and Mrs. Levin. Tell them how it is to be a guest star on Melrose Place, how nice everybody is.
Everybody is so nice, especially him. He's so sweet.
I paid her big bucks for that.
Shoot. These are Laura's. They're mine. To wear over my boots. Yeah. I'm telling you, Melrose Place is a trend-setting fashion place. This is the latest.
Yeah. Courtney and myself, and I think sometimes Josie,
we wear the same shoe size. I'm supposed to be wearing the shoes that she's wearing, and she's so look, watch for the shoes, and you'll see us all wearing the same shoes. But the slippers are just, you know, when we don't want to have to wear those shoes, and you shoot, you know, from here up, that Courtney and I will immediately take off the high heels and put on slippers.
Okay, so you better go get your right shoes on.
I don't think Amanda would wear those slippers.
I don't think so.
We're here at Melrose Place, and we're whispering because Billy and Allison are rehearsing.
Here we are, my glamorous, glamorous room. At this stage, I think you saw Thomas's. We have very nice rooms. But these we have to travel with. Isn't it lovely? Come on in, I'll show you the room. Just let you get an idea of our glamorous life. Wow, look at this, a beautiful light mirror. The wardrobe trailer. Now this is a little bit of movie magic. This is what we use. Where's the chopstick? This is Donna. Donna Costumes. It's not her real name.
It's really Donna Wardrobe.
It's really Donna Wardrobe. Here it is. Now, see, you wonder why everybody always looks so put together? This is why. See? Actually, toupee tape. Shh. And then you just put it on the fabric where it's gaping a little bit. Go like that. That's why our shirts never gape and our bra straps never show, because we're completely taped into all of our wardrobe. Here's our, what is it called? Continuity book, so that we know what we're wearing from scene to scene. Great, great.
I'd like to carry her to the door. They're going to come around and enter that shot. How are you guys about shooting out of sequences? We got the wall out here shooting this way. You?
I don't care. Whatever.
Well, speaks 8 languages, can't say no in any of them. I think that is marvelous. Thank you. And Freddie, too.
No, I'm okay. Whatever you want.
Okay. We got this wall out. We'll shoot going this way.
Then I suggest let's do one more rehearsal then, so we'll know exactly where it began.
I already made this presentation once. A lot of work went into it. The least you could have done is be at the meeting.
I usually learn my lines at least 4 days before I'm going to shoot the scene. That gives me time to digest them and then work on the more important things. And I just, you know, I just sit on it, you know, just before I go to sleep, go through it in my mind, think about the whole script. Good work, Amanda. Something, I'll see you soon, huh?
Yeah, you're coming down.
Oh, we'll be in touch.
Right.
We'll be in touch. Oh, they're not going to have huge drastic changes by this point. After doing theater for, you know, 10 years and having, you know, studying entire scripts, and you have to remember them one day, to remember 2 pages of script is no big challenge, you know what I mean?
Yeah. This is Andrew Williams. He plays my love interest, and he's a great guy.
Hell yeah.
But there's a big surprise coming, so.
Huge surprise coming up.
You can't tell.
I don't have any lines, but that's where the true acting comes out, don't you think?
Take a guy like Richard, he's a prop guy, he comes in here, he gets his props, he gives them to me. This beeper, totally fake. See that stuff on there? Never comes off. It's like stuck. These things don't even work. That's properties. Anything I carry around. This is a beer bottle. I finish drinking, I take his head, I break it on his head. Why? Because I love him. Thank you, Richard. You're welcome. Yeah, wait, this is John Casey. Hi, Mom. Wardrobe supervisor. Everybody says hello to their mother. He's a cool dude. He's a surfer, guitar player.
I have a goatee also.
Goatee. But he sets the fashion from Melrose Place.
The Mel trend.
The Mel trend.
Shall I cut your watermelon, or would you like a big piece?
This is a big piece, thank you.
Okay, quiet all around, please, and let's roll, please.
All right, and action.
Good morning. I made you some coffee.
No, thank you. I need some.
You're upset.
Yeah.
If this is about my behavior in Las Vegas, I couldn't be more sorry. I was selfish and unthinking. I'd wanted our first time to be special. Now I've ruined that forever, huh? Can you forgive me?
Of course, I forgive you. That's not what I'm upset about. Well, we always have to rehearse, right? But there's not a lot of time, so we just run through a rehearsal, block it, leave, and they you know, prepare the lights and all that stuff, and then we shoot it.
All right, and action.
You're upset.
Yeah.
If this is about my behavior in Las Vegas... If this is about my behavior in Las Vegas, I couldn't be more sorry. I was selfish and unthinking. I'd wanted our first time together to be special, but I ruined that forever. Can you forgive me?
Of course, I forgive you. I'm not mad at you. It's my psychotic little sister. Now she... It hurts, that's all. I used to be a friend.
Yes, if you heard a in there, it's either because she missed her line and swore, and we can't put that on national television, or we've had to bleep some things out because we don't want you to know yet. We want it to be a big surprise. Right?
That's right. That's right. And I just spoiled it, so...
Over there.
But you won't get to know, because we're going to bleep it.
I already made this presentation once. I put a lot of work into it. The least you could have done is be there for the meeting. You're a silent partner, Michael, not an invisible one.
Give her the gong.
I'm aware of the terms of your contract, Michael. Or have you forgotten? I'm the one who knows.
Parker? I have a couple of changes to see. Shut up, Ford. I have a couple of changes to see.
Good.
Betty. Guys. Turn. Here we go, right away.
I mean, I love comedy. I love humor. I mean, we laugh a lot, right? Yeah. We're always laughing.
Josie?
Yeah?
30 seconds.
Okay, thanks. 30 seconds.
All right, and action.
Well, your friend packs quite a wallop.
I don't like love scenes. Yeah, they're just uncomfortable and technical and weird, and it just doesn't feel like the way things should be. I feel like I only should share that with my husband. But I know it's a job, so.
I came on midway the first season. Yeah, that was weird, because I'd never done TV, so I was really nervous, because I thought it was going to be a different way to do it. And I also thought, well, gosh, they all know each other. They all probably really get along, and it was like growing up when I got to schools late in the year. It's kind of like that. I thought, oh, everyone's going to notice me. I can't just slip in. They're all going to, know I'm the new girl. But Doug Savant gave me the hugest hug. He comes up the first day. I didn't even know him. I never met him. He gave me the hugest hug. Hi, I'm Doug. He gave me this big hug. We're so glad to have you here. And he's just a doll.
Darren Star created 90210. We thought he was the logical one to write it. And I must say, he created Melrose Place by himself. And practically all the characters, I remember coming to my house one morning and he had everything all jotted down and ready to go. So I don't think Darren gets enough credit for what he's done on Melrose Place, but it all belongs to him.
I had an idea for a while about doing a show about people in their 20s living in a courtyard apartment building in LA, and I approached Fox with Aaron about doing a show like that about adults just starting out in life, which is a show I hadn't really seen on television. I had been through that experience myself. I lived in a courtyard apartment building with a pool in Los Angeles, Hollywood area that certainly didn't look like the building on Melrose Place, but it was the same idea, people in their 20s just starting out, and I thought it was an interesting idea for a show, and certainly an area that I was familiar with.
and they really they were excited about it at Fox, and we just sort of went from there.
Thanks for a good day.
Thank you.
Good night.
We'd like to thank you for watching and taking a trip back in time as we look back 30 years to Melrose Place, the pilot episode.
Should we go get dressed? Oh, I am dressed. I forgot. Are you dressed? Should we go get makeup and hair? I'm dressed, except for my shoes.
Is my hair greasy enough for the scene this morning? I did that on purpose.
Billy and Allison are talking about getting married, and I go, oh, you'll get divorced, everyone. That's perfect. You have the best lines. Don't you love them? You're really great.